Welcome to Bodied, Cloud9 Fancast. I'm your host, Havokpus, and I'm with my co-host, Frozencreek. How's it going, Frozen?
Hello. We are on take 3 or 4 of this, and I am slowly losing my mental.
Descending into madness, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes, after take 1, I tried to chrono shift some audio, and Audacity chrono braked me, so that was tough. Take 2.
It's still chrono broken.
Still chrono broken. I do have some good news. I got my second COVID vaccine, so one thing is going right today.
One thing's going right.
One thing is going right. Yeah, and that also includes all of our Cloud9 news from last week, which was also not right.
It's not right. Also, just throw out a short disclaimer, partly because Frozen doesn't have to do it for the third time. We're recording this on Thursday, April 29th. There's going to be a Cloud9 Valorant match tonight.
Possibly two.
We don't know. So we won't have the full story for that for the third and final leg of the Challenger series. But we'll be sure to get to it next week. Just a heads up, if anyone cares. But
I'm sure you do.
Yes, but let's get into it. So we got London Spitfire as our first little topic. They lost 0-3 to both the LA Gladiators and the Houston Outlaws in their Overwatch League kind of debut.
Yeah, I feel like I want to say it was tough, but they did go up against Birdring, who looked like he was in pretty good form already. So I can't say it's too disappointing. I didn't see the Houston match, so I don't know if that was disappointing or not.
It was about the same. I think that, I will say you have to give the Spitfire boys some credit. Like they played, they tried really hard. There were even some spots to where the team looked really good, and it looked like they were going to get a map off of the teams that they were playing against. I think it was mostly just there was a skill gap and experience gap. They're maybe also nervous just because, like, okay, this is your first day in Overwatch League. Because the majority of these players, they've been in contenders for like 2 years probably, of just being this kind of this big fish in a small pond. So now they're having to go up against like way tougher competition. They're going to have to deal with a bunch of growing pains and trying to figure out like how to improve and everything like that. So it's going to be a really tough sort of experience. Currently we're most people have us ranked as sort of like one of the bottom 3 teams of the league, which makes sense. But this just trying to kind of paint a picture for everyone else at home what the situation is.
Yeah, and I did like a lot of what I saw. Like, they were playing aggressive. I think it was Havana, you said. They tried to pin the Gladiators into their spawn point.
Yeah, that's the thing that they did a lot in contenders. They're a really rush heavy team, and when to their credit, when they were able to sort of execute their rush strategies, it looked like they were pretty effective. I think it was just that they couldn't finish what they started, and they had trouble, I think, converting those advantages with their rush strategy into actually getting map points in their matches.
Yeah, and they were going up against much better teams too.
Yeah.
So I feel like it was a really good learning experience for what is to come this weekend, because they have Boston and Toronto.
Yes, Boston's kind of tied with us in the standings, while Toronto,
dead last.
I think Toronto does have a couple of games that they won. It's good. I think it's going to be sort of a few harsh weekends ahead. Just the team kind of trying to figure things out and all. I'm hoping at least by the end of the season we can at least have won a few matches. I'm not sure if that's going to happen. It has to. Statistically, right? There's no way that we could pull a Shanghai Dragons and just lose for like continually for almost like 2 seasons. I think they technically have the record for longest losing streak of a sports team I believe.
I think it's all sports too.
Yes, it's all sports. It's not just esports. Because I think before that, I think it was maybe an NBA team that held the record for longest losing streak. And
Oh, I'm trying to think who it could be.
I can't remember who it
Maybe,
was.
yeah. But are we potentially performing in anti-Shanghai Dragons, where we won season 1, and then by season 3 we lose every single game?
Yeah. But that's just what happens, when you got to spend $11 million on a mid laner and then a couple other million on a CSGO roster that doesn't work out, and then you don't have any money left, and you can't pay for an Overwatch League team, so you got to do a bunch of roster, and it's slowly falling apart. Also, because no one really cares about Overwatch, including Blizzard. So it kind of
Twitch. But with the good news is that Boston, they also lost both their games last weekend, and they got 0-3'd by Gladiators also. So I didn't watch it, so I don't know how close it was, but potentially we could maybe pick up a W or pick up some map wins at least.
Yeah, it's going to depend on how strong a lot of our opponents are. Pretty much just at this point, every team's a threat. Everyone should be constantly focusing on trying to just play well and improve. And if things can go well, then we can at least win a few matches this season. But I think that's all that we really have for Overwatch. We can move on to Valorant, and I gotta say, despite us losing last week in the grand finals to Sentinels, we're looking on the upswing, Frozen. We're looking a lot better than what we were probably I'd say 2 months ago.
Yeah, since last time we talked, we did win a few matches, including one against Energy.
Yeah.
And I think Floppy has really learned a lot this past week, and I think that we're peaking at the right time for the VALORANT Champions Tour tournament. Sorry, not tour.
Yeah, for sure. I think that it looks like Floppy is getting better with each match he plays. I think he's putting in a lot of practice. And Floppy's, I think, always been a very dedicated player, so that makes sense. But I really like this team in this iteration of Cloud9. I think that our support players in Zeppa and Mitch are performing really well, and Leaf is our best player, and he's putting up a lot of big numbers. And I think Floppy is even though he's only been playing for, I think, maybe a month or something, he's looking pretty good in getting better. I think the only question mark for me is Poise, who seems kind of hit and miss, but when he can pull up, he does really well too. So I really like this team. They seem really well coordinated, and everyone seems to be able to pick up the slack where it kind of falls around. So I really like this roster. That being said, this third part of challenge is going to be really difficult. We play Envy tonight, and Envy is a really tough team. I don't think we've maybe only beat Envy once historically. So we have to play against Envy. If we beat them, then we'd have to play Exet. There's also 100 Thieves. There's
or NRG, yeah.
Or NRG. There's 100 Thieves in there lying in wait. Also, there's the Sentinels. It's a really who's who of just sort of top Valorant teams. And I think with how we've been playing lately, we do deserve to be there. I think we really turned around and improved in a big way. I think I even remember seeing Jack leave a comment on one of the match threads saying how he's, him and Cloud9 are really dedicated to this team and really wanting the team to really improve and to be a top contender. So I think it's showing with what the team has been doing and how they've been performing recently. So,
oh yeah,
everyone deserves to be there. I think that's not a question. I think it's just who's going to be in those top 2 spots to go to Iceland and face against the other teams of the world. And I can't say that it's going to be us, but there's a little tiny shred of hope that we can kind of pull it off.
Oh yeah, and crazier things have happened. We don't have 100 Thieves or Sentinels on our side of the upper bracket. So
yeah,
if they play, one knocks off the other one, and we make it up to play Sentinels into the final for the upper bracket, maybe Energy and knocks out 100 Thieves.
Yeah,
Who's
yeah,
to
it
say?
could be.
Yeah.
We have to see how the tournament kind of goes and how we perform. But I'm excited to watch us play, especially now. I'm hoping we can at least get some, like 1 or 2 good matches in us before we're kicked out, so it's not just really, unceremonious kind of thing. And I'm looking forward to it. So hopefully the team plays well, and next week we have some good news that we can talk about.
Oh yeah. And if we win, then our next game will be after the podcast comes out. So keep an eye open for that. If we lose and then win, I assume it will also be the same. So if we can get 1 win tonight, meaning Thursday, then we have some Valorant to look forward to tomorrow.
Yeah, for sure.
Or today, meaning Friday.
But moving on to, we just have like one other thing to talk about, and that's Academy losing 1-3 to No Org in the Proving Grounds Grand Finals.
Yeah, I think it was a tough loss to take. I feel like the team didn't come in like totally focused and prepared to win. King seemed lackadaisical in his spacing and his um in his positioning in team fights. Darshan played well, I thought. Schernfire wasn't able to find the type of leads that he was able to in previous games, and I didn't really think Happy was anything special, which is something that we are already knew, and it's something I've talked about before. But he has a lot to learn if he wants to make it the next step up.
Yeah. I think that match was really an off day for us. We were looking. It seems like we were just really looking for fights when, we could have been playing more strategically, and trying to maybe set up the map first and look for other advantages. We were just constantly trying to fight, and I think that No Org felt better prepared, especially after that game they played in the lower bracket. So it was kind of unfortunate, I think, especially with King. King's always seems to be like a big win condition for us, and he just didn't pop off that series, and he was kind of having it rough too. So it was definitely not our best day.
Yeah, and shout out to No Org, who played a really good game overall. Like I thought Viper proved that he was in LCS top lane, or like we were talking in a previous iteration of this podcast that Darshan is kind of like a gatekeeper for LCS, and he has been for 5 years now, I think. And if you can like do better than Darshan, then I feel like you're good enough to play in LCS. And I think I think he proved that.
Yeah. I think that No Org played really well. They definitely deserve recognition for the fact that they beat like a lot of Academy teams. So it's not just like, oh well, they beat us and a bunch of like amateur teams. They beat the majority of like Academy teams. So they definitely deserved, I think, to be playing for that top spot, and they were the better team that day. So I'm not like upset. I am a little upset that we lost, but
I was upset.
you were upset.
Yeah,
you were more fickle
I
than
actually
I
was upset.
But I think it's really good. And I think this is really good for the scene that a team like No Org can come in and win the Proving Grounds title. I think it shows that there is NA talent, and NA can be competitive in these lower echelons of the competitive scene, and that Riot is kind of trying stuff out to make it more competitive and full more accessible to players. So hopefully we get to see maybe some more amateur teams kind of come out of this and compete on this kind of level, because that would be really good to see, and I'd really like to see, and sort of an increased layer of competitiveness kind of going on.
Oh yeah, and I hope that a lot of the academy teams start scouting these amateur teams, like picking up at the bot lane from nowhere, grabbing a player or two from like Wildcard or Barrage or Zeus Gaming. Like there's talent out there. How do you think of like the whole like academy and amateur scene tournament thing as a whole?
I really like it. I think that it's really nice. I think it's good that academy teams that are kind of struggling get other chances to kind of play in this tournament. I like that amateur teams are giving the opportunity to play with the academy teams and show that they are good, just as good. I think that I think it's really great, and I think it's really good for the scene. I think it's good for the players. There may be some bugs to work out in terms of how the events are formatted and how the grand finals kind of works. If you're going to give the team that won the upper bracket finals to go to the grand finals to have a match advantage or not, that's up for debate, and that was kind of debated after the game. I saw by a lot of people. But other than that, I think this is a really great idea, and I really like that Riot's really trying to further foster sort of the competitive scene in a larger area.
Oh yeah, and I think like the biggest win, or like not win, but like benefit for like the scene is that there were a ton of games, and all of them were streamed. Like in academy, each team got to play, I think it was 18 games.
Yeah.
And then the top teams went straight to the Proving Grounds, which kind of sucked for them because then they sat out for like 4 to 6 weeks.
Yeah.
But like all of the other teams went to qualifier 1. But the top teams automatically qualified. But then there were 3 other qualifiers after that, which was cool to see, because Cloud9 Amateur got a ton of games in too.
Yeah, it was good to see. I do think that it does throw off some teams in terms of their practice when it's just, you take basically like, I think it's like, well, it was like a month off or something before like.
It was a long time.
Yeah, like it was kind of long. So I think that, I think especially for some teams, it's just like, you're just kind of sitting there just like, well, what do we do? Do we continue to scrim? Do we take a little time off? Do we just try to scrim internally? Like what's the best way to like kind of go about things as you're literally just waiting and waiting for the actual event to start.
Yeah, it was weird to not watch a academy for like a month while they just sat on their asses.
Chilled.
Yeah, but I do think overall, like it was a huge win. Like the losers bracket was really cool to see. Not like for competitive integrity per se, but to just get more games to watch. Like, seeing like Dig, Mirage, and CLG Academy or Wildcard play one more series just for practice.
Yeah.
I think is really good for them and for like the scene as a whole. Like there was so much like amateur and academy league to watch this past two months, and it was awesome to see.
Yeah, I agree. They really did try to cram a lot in there.
Yeah, and now that it's gone, like I kind of don't know what to do.
Yeah, it's really just kind of waiting for MSI next week, and then after MSI, you're kind of just waiting for the summer season to start.
Yeah, I've been watching quite a bit of mid Midbeast streams. With he's been watching pros play solo queue, so that's been about it for League of Legends. But yeah, next week we get to see Cloud9 versus Damwon, so that'll be fun.
Yeah, that'll be really good. Next week we'll probably talk a bit more about MSI and the groups and everything. But I'm excited. I'm especially after last year where C9 qualified for MSI, but then it didn't happen. So we were kind of snubbed from playing the event as a whole. So it'll be great for us to kind of get get what was due, and for us to actually participate. So that'll be really dope. I'm really excited. But that's kind of it for me. I can't think of anything else to say. If you have anything else,
I think that's it. This was more of a filler episode before MSI next week, so we'll be back at you pretty early next week with that.
Yep. So make sure to follow us on Twitter at C9 Bodied, and we appreciate you for listening, and we'll see you again next time.
Yep. Thanks, guys. Bye.